Marie Walters, leader of ForBritain, a new political party. Anne-Marie, why did you feel the need to start this new political party?
Well, I'd come out of the UKIP leadership election. I'd stood for leader of UKIP and came second recently. And the reaction of UKIP in denouncing me in many ways as a racist and a fascist and a far right told me that there was pretty much nobody in British politics, including UKIP, that was willing to face some uncomfortable truths about the immigration and the types of immigration that we've imported into Britain over the last 50 years or so. And I am willing to say so. And I think the public knows there's a problem here, and I think it needs a politician to say there's a problem.
How will the British public know the difference between ForBritain and the other far-right group, Britain First, that have been banned from social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter? How are they going to know the difference between you?
Well, we've got nothing. I don't know anything about Britain First, and we've got nothing. Certainly got no formal connections or any. I've never met anyone from Britain First. Look, Britain First. I don't know them, as I say, so I'm not going to pass any judgments. But as far as the sort of anti-Islam movement per se has a huge problem in Britain, in that you can include the BNP in this, for example. Huge problem with racial hate. And a huge problem with anti-Semitism. These groups have had a lot of problems with that over years. We have made it clear from day one. This has nothing to do with skin colour. It has nothing to do with anti-Semitism. We are not against Jews. We are not against immigrants. We are not against anything of the kind. In fact, we have immigrant groups in the party. This is not about difference. It is not about different people living together. This is about a religion which we believe, based on overwhelming evidence, is having a profoundly negative effect on this country. And the politicians from all parties, including UKIP, are ignoring this or sanitising it or pretending it's not an issue. We must say it's an issue. We must say it's an issue without going down the road of being racist and anti-Semitic and far-right. We are the majority. That's what I believe. We are the majority.
This meeting in Hartlepool, it was cloaked in secrecy. You've had to change the venue a couple of times. How can you realistically hope to have a national party when there's so much disruption connected with you?
Well, it's going to be very difficult, but it's the era that we're facing. You know, you have to face what you're facing. You know, we could either let go of the real issues and become part of the political establishment, or we could face the realities that we're going to face and fight for what we believe in. Look, I didn't come into this thinking it was going to be an easy ride. I knew it was going to be. I knew I was going to meet obstacles at every turn. But you've got to make a decision early on, in my mind. Are you going to do it, or are you not going to do it? If you're going to do it, then you're in it for the long haul, and you're going to have to pretty much brush off these things, because they're serious in the wider scheme of things, but I can't take them too seriously, or else I would get defeated by them. They're just an obstacle, and you overcome that obstacle, and then you go on to the next one. What is important is to keep the bigger picture in mind, and that is that we are, and I am, fighting, or at least trying to fight, so that the Britain that I love still exists in 50 years' time. That's the bigger picture to me. And the prices I have to pay seem small in comparison.
How annoying is it for you when far-left groups like Antifa and Momentum disrupt meetings, as they did just a few days ago with Jacob Rees-Mogg, but they seem to get away with it?
We all know who anyone can get away with anything as long as they say the right thing. You know, we have essentially a media which has its own agenda. I mean, everything is out of place. It's almost like, how do I describe it? It's almost like you're blind and everyone has moved the furniture. And that's how I feel. Everyone has moved the furniture. So the left is no longer what it used to be. The right is no longer what it used to be, and you just have to adapt. We just have to fight on principle. I'm here because I don't want a totalitarian, violent, misogynistic religion to take control of the country I love. That's what drives me. And the rest of it, like I say, there's no clarity. Everything is, you're moving around furniture in the dark. It's crazy. It's crazy.
On your website, ForBritain.uk, you state we are not far right, we are not far left. And you've said in your meeting that you've been called far left, you've also been called far right. So you can't be labelled. How can that be?
Well, because when you take things on a policy by policy basis, and this is the politics I come from, I believe in some things that would be categorised as left wing. I believe in some things that would be categorised as right wing. In other words, me as a person, I don't believe in isms. I just believe in my own beliefs. I don't sign up to capitalism or socialism. I just believe what I think is fair. And if it hasn't got a label, then so be it. But I don't believe in isms. I believe in me.
And ForBritain believes in Brexit?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. How can you can't possibly have a Britain without having a Brexit. But we're in big trouble, and Brexit is in big trouble. And I see it, that we're heading down several years of legal wrangling now with the European Court of Justice. And, we're heading down, potentially, we're heading down years of legal wrangling, years of political wrangling. The Labour Party may come to power in the meantime, and that will be the end of Brexit. I don't believe in the current climate. If we continue with the Labour-Tory swap of power, I don't believe Brexit is going to happen at all.
I suppose you could say that because you were once a very active Labour member and a UKIP member, people really can't label you at all. Tonight, for instance, you had 2 venues cancel. The last one, barely an hour and a half's notice. So you had a very late start, all this disruption. But you must be heartened by the number of people that turned out for you tonight.
And what heartens me most of all is seeing people nodding in agreement with me, because it's a very lonely place to be. When you've sort of dedicated what's left of your career to stating a certain point, and that makes you. I don't know. I mean, I'm a lawyer, and I couldn't possibly practice law now. You're alienated. You're on the outside. You're a nothing. You really have to believe in something to take that kind of sacrifice. But when I see people just nodding in agreement with me, it gives me some reassurance that I haven't wasted my life.
Has the party completed its formal registration with the Electoral Council?
We should have done, but there's no reason whatsoever. And I feel somewhat vindicated. The name of the party was ForBritain, and I looked up, as I say, I'm a lawyer, so I can read legislation. I looked up the rules and regulations of party registration, and I looked up name registration. Now, people can do this if they want to, but there isn't a single registered party on the list of registered parties with the words ForBritain written in them. There are several parties which are, for example, the Socialist Democrats, or the Democratic Socialists, or the Socialists for Democrats, or the Democrats for Socialists. It's all over the place. Titles nigh on identical to each other. But yet we received a response saying, your name is too similar to not another party name, a slogan registered by a tiny party up in Scotland several years ago, which said, for a united Britain. So we were refused our name because it was too similar to a slogan registered by a tiny party in Scotland years ago, and that slogan was for a united Britain. So when you have on the list of parties the Social Democrats and the Democratic Socialists and the Socialists this and there are literally words rearranged, you're being screwed with. And when they came back the second time, and said we are examining whether your constitution is discriminatory or not, And they even contacted me about the spelling of my name. I mean, this is someone who's paying particular attention to us, and frankly, I'm flattered.
But where do you go from here?
Well, we'll wait. They can't refuse us forever. I expect to get approval either this week or to reapply this week upon their recommendation. The thing is, they can't keep you out. They can tell you what to tell you amendments make, but they can't keep you out. I'm not going anywhere.
So the dream is for a national political party without stigma.
Well, the dream is for British people to stand up and say, we've had enough of this immigration of cultures that do not belong here. What I really want us to do is, why can't we stand up and say, I like our culture, I don't want to lose it. That's all I want. I'm sick and tired of this. I remember a British culture. I grew up in one. I am disgusted by the fact that we are going to throw it away and we're going to allow this mass migration from countries which have no place, there's no place here. You can't come into a civilized 21st century democracy and cut off your daughter's clitoris at the same time. We have to set down some standards and say, no, you don't get to live here. This is barbaric and savage in 7th century and you don't get to come here. And the reason you don't get to come here is because we get our own society and we get to protect our society. I want that to be common parlance in public life. I want people to be brave enough and feel able enough to say, we've had enough of this. We don't want your culture in our country. This is our culture and we would like to live by our culture. So stay where you are and we will stay where we are. That's pretty much it. We've got to stop this. We've got to stop this. I want a Britain that is proud of itself and says, no, look, this is not our culture. Get out. We don't want you here. Sorry, that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Anne-Marie Walters, thank you for the interview.
We will make America great again.